The Harlem Renaissance was a flowering of African American achievement in the arts. African American artists flocked to major cities such as Harlem, New York, in hopes of starting new lives. The Cotton Club was important to those who came because of the Harlem Renaissance. The Cotton Club became a place for African American artists to get their first start and provided the opportunity for fame to many. The Cotton Club was the best-known nightclub in the world during the 1920s. It was located in Harlem, New York on 142nd and Lenox Avenue.
It was originally opened as Club Deluxe by Jack Johnson, the first African-American heavyweight boxing champion. In 1923, Owen Madden, a New York gangster, bought the club from Johnson because he was interested in the money involved in the black music scene.
18th Amendment, which banned alcohol, was important to the Cotton Club's popularity as a speakeasy, which is an establishment that sells alcoholic beverages. It was one of the most profitable nightclubs due to the sale of Madden's No. 1, a special illegal booze.
During the 1920s, it was a spot where mainly white patrons could see some of the best blues and jazz artists of the time. Doors opened at 9 p.m., but midnight was the start of the stage performances. Some of the criteria for female performers, like the chorus singers, were to be light-skinned as advertised, tall, tan, and terrific.
Although the Cotton Club was a place of positive energy and musical opportunities, there was also negative aspects to it. One of those aspects was that it reproduced racist imagery of the time. It depicted blacks as savages in exotic jungles and as darkies in the cotton-growing plantation South. There were also subtle racism in the selection of showgirls. They wore skimpy outfits and had to accustom to the norm of being at least 5'6", light-skinned, and under the age of 21. Above all, black performers did not mix with the white customers.
The theme of the Cotton Club was considered a plantation theme, which had strict segregation policy. Patrons could imagine themselves back in the southern plantation with black tan slaves there to serve them whatever they wanted. Wait staff were dark-skinned, wore red tuxedos, and looked like butlers.
The stage backdrop was a replica of the Southern Mansion from a time of slavery. It was decorated with white columns, weeping willows, and slave quarters in the background. The band played off the mansion's veranda.
Some of the most well-known performers at the club were Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway, Ethel Waters, and Louis Armstrong. Duke Ellington was one of the most well-known musicians during this time. His orchestra was the house band from 1927 to 1930 and sporadically throughout the next 8 years. What furthered the band's popularity was the weekly WHN radio broadcasts.
It behooves me now to welcome to the show our stellar musical guest of the evening, Mr. Ellington, known to one and all as the Duke. Mr. Ellington.
Thank you. How are you, Frank?
I'm fine, Duke. We're very happy to have you with us. We know that you're a very busy man these days over at the Hurricane and Broadway. But what else are you doing?
Well, besides being over at the Hurricane with the band, I'm writing a book explaining my composition, Black, Brown, and Beige, which was performed recently at Carnegie Hall. And also writing the score for the musical Frankie and Johnny, and also making a musical version of Aesop's Fable.
You ought to get yourself something to do, son. You know...
Calloway and his orchestra became famous by performing at the Cotton Club. Their first performance was in 1930, which later set the tone of the regular time slot. With Cab Calloway and his orchestra's rising popularity of their song Minnie and the Moocher, they became the Cotton Club's new house band in 1931, replacing Duke Ellington.
In 1958.
Ethel Waters was the first black superstar and the first woman to sing St. Louis blues. Her performances and increase in popularity led her to Broadway. In 1933, her interpretation of Stormy Weather at the Cotton Club made the sensation of the town.
Don't know why there's no sun up in the sky, stormy weather. Since my man and I ain't together, keeps raining all the time.
She was the first African American to star in a sponsored coast-to-coast radio show, and along her was the Jimmy Dorsey Orchestra. She spent the last years of her life touring with evangelist Billy Graham, performing periodically when she could. Louis Armstrong was an American trumpeter, composer, singer, and occasional actor. Armstrong was known worldwide as Satchmo and as the founding father of jazz.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's one you all can sing with us when the Saints go marching in.
He developed an impactful way of playing jazz, composed and recorded hit songs for 5 decades, and participated in more than 30 films. Louis Armstrong performed around 300 concerts annually, leading to his nickname Ambassador Satch. He entertained millions like the head of state, royalty, and the community.
The Cotton Club, which acted as a springboard to fame for African American artists, relocated after Prohibition in 1933. As a result, African American performers had fewer opportunities to fame. Harlem riots were also an important part of the Cotton Club's history. Following the Harlem riots, the Cotton Club closed in 1935. As a result, it was deemed unsafe for clientele, more specifically, whites.
All in all, the Cotton Club had its ups and downs, but that didn't alter its lasting impression during the Harlem Renaissance.